Okay, Mr. Watson here, and in this video we're going to look at Nideffer's attentional styles. So this was a popular model of attention that's used in sport to figure out what styles an athlete might use when in a match, in a game, okay, and if there's a best one or do we need to have a range. So this was a popular model, okay. So with Nideffer's model, he looked at two things about someone's attention. Number one, he said everyone's attention has width, okay, and that's broad or narrow. So if we think about cue utilization, we had too broad and we had too narrow, okay, so it's kind of like that perceptual lens, okay, but Nideffer just looked at it as broad and narrow, and he saw both styles can be used. And then there was the direction internal, external. So internal being the things you can control. You often hear control the controllables, but you still need to pay attention to some of the external cues so that you can control what you do. So external being the stimuli the environment provides, and internal is looking within yourself. Okay? So we're just going to look at the model. And what we're going to see here is something we've seen in achievement motivation with the knack and NAF, the icing. We're going to see some quadrants, okay? So as we just assessed, we've got the width. So we've got narrow and broad on the horizontal. On the vertical, we've got external and internal. So we're going to focus on that top left quadrant here, the broad external. And this is known as assessing, okay? So assessing is when you focus on the external environment, the stimuli the environment provides, that often changes rapidly, especially in sports such as football and basketball. Things are constantly changing throughout the game, because if it didn't, it'd be very easy. Okay? So an example there is football player assessing the defensive positions of the opposition. So I'm on the attack. I've got to make a decision, pass or shoot. I'm looking at the positions of the defenders in order for me to make my decision. I'm looking for information. Okay, let's go across to narrow external, that top right. And this is known as the acting. So this is where we focus toward the outward execution of the skill. So rather than focusing on all the defenders' positions, because there could be 3 players, 4 players, some may even play a back 5, okay, I'm focusing on the ball and the goalkeeper. For example, maybe to take a penalty or even just to take a shot from long range. I'm just going to focus on the ball, which is still external, and the position of the goalkeeper. So I've gone from that broad environment stimuli to just focusing more narrowly on 2 of them. Okay, so let's go to the bottom left, and we've got analysing. This is broad internal. So now we're going to be looking within ourselves. We're not going to be looking for the stimuli the environment provides. We're going to look within ourselves, but it's broad. We're going to be looking at multiple things. So an example of this is, explanation of this is you're focusing to reviewing one's general thoughts and emotions throughout a performance, okay? So general thoughts, so general being there's going to be quite a few of them, not specific, it's general. So my example there is a football captain thinking about what attacking strategy to use. So he's ready to give his instructions. We're going to switch, we're going to play 1-2 football. Okay, we're going to have lots of movement, we're going to try to unlock them this way. But he's also thinking, should we go a bit more direct? Okay, should we mix it? So he's got some thoughts going through about how to unlock the defense. Okay, he's thinking about the potential attacking strategies. And then we shift across to a narrow internal. So that narrow focus within ourselves. Okay, that's known as preparing. Okay, so that would be focus is toward readying oneself to execute a given skill. So let's just say up above we're about to take the penalty. Okay, so that narrow external is the ball and the goalkeeper. But I might be narrow internal. I've taken hundreds of penalties, okay? I know what to do with the ball, but what I'm thinking of, I'm visualizing the ball going in. So I'm just focusing on visualization techniques, this mental rehearsal, and of me scoring a successful penalty. This could also be me controlling my breathing. I'm a bit nervous, my heart rate's up, I need to get this under control. A basketballer at the free throw line, just focusing on his breathing. He might be doing self-talk. Come on, you can make this shot. Okay, so that's just 4 explanations and 4 examples. And we're going to look at another example here, a real-life example of what was stated after the game. So the South African fly half in rugby, Andre Pollard, he kicked 22 points in front of a 72,000 capacity crowd. So we'll go on to this in the syllabus of performing in front of a crowd. But what was said there is that Pollard demonstrated proficiency in all 4 styles of attention. And the big point I want to make here about Nideffer's attentional styles is that a top performer can use all 4 styles. Okay, he's proficient in all 4 styles. He knows how to go to each style at the right time. Okay, so there's not like the knack and naff. There's no quadrant that's preferred and like eye sinks in personality. With this, a top performer is identified by being able to go across the range of attentional styles. So let's just look at what was linked with Pollard. So I just put that all on in one go there because it's in a table. So as we know, broad and external, another explanation, and this is where you can pause, focus on a wide range of environmental cues or environmental stimuli, so that you could be just adhering to the presentation of the opposition defence that's constantly going to change during a passage of play. So if you're playing rugby, passing down the line, you're scanning that defence, looking for an opening, okay? But their defence is going to potentially change as you move the ball. You've got then broad and internal, so a wide range of thoughts and feelings. So it's a cognitive process, okay? You're thinking about alternative strategies regarding your decision making during a passage of play. So a bit like the football example I give. Narrow and external, specific environmental cues. So as we've just said, Pollard scored 22 points from kicking. So it was said that every time he kicked, he was just focusing on the ball and the goalpost. He blocked out the crowd. Okay, and then narrow and internal, it was a cognitive engagement during the kicking task. He had a moment of deep concentration. He was visualizing the kicks, okay? He was possibly taking deep breaths. He might have been doing self-talk in his mind. So very similar to my football example, but this is what was analysed after the game, that Pollard was proficient in all 4 styles, and that's how we managed to get that amount of points kicking in front of that type of crowd. So just to finish up then, let's also look at how we can improve attentional control. We will have some of the same examples from cue utilization here. Use of distractions in training. So the coach could introduce distractions into training. So like if you're in your football training, you might start playing crowd noise. Start making it more realistic. Can the performers still go narrow even though there's external distractions, okay? Or can they still focus on reading a defence, broad and external, if there's also an extra distraction? Okay, so that's a good one. A bit like game-like intensity for cue utilization, making it more realistic. Goal setting, use goal setting. We talked about this earlier in the past video. So that can really help direct your attention. That's one of the big things with goal setting. So an example there, netball shooter must score 10 consecutive shots in that training session. Okay, so that's a hard task. It's going to keep her focused because she wants to know, can I do it? Then we've got positive reinforcement. Okay, similar to cue utilization, giving a reward for the most focused player. Or I could have even been more specific there. If you've noticed someone go across the 4 styles, okay, probably a better example. Stimuli training, okay, ensure that the performer is aware of the intentional styles. So give them the knowledge. So a badminton server, give them the knowledge that they should use narrow internal, so they just think about how and where they're going to serve. And then bring in specialists to increase knowledge. Jurgen Klopp always refers to this. He's not a specialist in everything, so he uses others around him. So bring in a psychologist, okay, who can help the players use mental rehearsal, use imagery, use relaxation techniques just before a gymnastics routine. Go through it in your mind. So bring in specialists to increase knowledge. or if you are a specialist as the coach, pass on that knowledge of what to do. Okay, so that is Nideffer's attentional styles. So just to repeat one more time, a top player will be proficient across all 4 styles. Okay, thank you.